think I have this happen every so often, that this kind of thing happens. Okay, it looks like you might be able to hear me. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm starting over. My name is Karen Ward. I'm an advanced certified personality trainer and speaker. I'm the author of the book Couple for Life: Overcoming Personality Differences in Marriage, and I'm a personality coach. I am doing a marriage series, and I'm going to do this marriage series up until my workshop, which starts in on November the 4th here in Washington, D.C. area. It's going to be from 12 to 2. And I say ish because I want to give time for you to ask whatever questions or that you might have afterwards. But it's going to have some light refreshments. It's going to have some fun. It's going to have some open, honest dialogue. So if you're a married couple struggling in your marriage, if you are a married couple who want to have a bit of a tune-up for your marriage, I say go to the marriage workshop on November the 4th. And you can find out more about that by DMing me on my Facebook platform. I mean, on my social media platforms, sorry. Facebook is Beyond 2 LLC. Instagram is the same thing, Beyond 2 LLC. You can go to my website, beyond2llc.com, and send me contact information. It will be live on my website probably by tonight, where you can actually register for the conference. But meanwhile, I wanted to talk about balanced partnerships, overcoming personality differences in relationships. I did part 1 last week. I'm doing part 2 this week. And so I'm going to answer some questions that I get a lot when I do my training classes for couples. I'm going to answer some of those. So let's get started. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel, my YouTube channel, which is Personality Speaking. Hit the notification bell so you'll get notified every time a show airs. Because we are live, we want you to interact. We want you to ask questions. We want you to comment. You can do that from all platforms. Facebook, I believe you have to do it through Facebook/StreamYard in order to comment. But the other platforms, YouTube, you can comment, and also on LinkedIn. So I'm excited that you're here. You could choose any place to go. And so for you to be here with me tonight, I don't take it for granted. All right, so let's talk about personalities and relationships, part 2. All right, so this is the quote I had last week, which is, affection is when you accept someone's strengths. Love is when you accept someone's flaws. It's not always to accept people's flaws. A lot of times we try to change people and try to make people more like how we see them, how we want them to be, instead of accepting people for who they are and allowing them to see the changes that they need to make, and that you make the changes in yourself and not look to change anyone else. I think I put on my Instagram page and maybe even my Facebook a quote that said, stop trying. The only thing you can change with your spouse is his diaper, because you can't change him or her. So, and a lot of times we try to do that. We try to change other people, and we need to quit doing that and really change yourself. So last week we talked about selfishness, and I want to make sure I have the right slides, you guys. I'm going to pull this back up again because I added a new one. But we talked about selfishness last week. We talked about conflict last week. And this week we have some other great topics that we're going to talk about that I get asked almost every single training class that I do as it relates to couples. And so I just thought you might want to get that information. So let me pull that up really quickly here. It's loading now. So we're going to talk a little bit about finances tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about infidelity tonight. So we have a couple of different topics. I think 3 questions that I'm going to kind of go into detail about tonight. As soon as it loads, I will do that. Meanwhile, I just wanted to say that I'm really thankful that I have this platform to talk about relationships, because so many people, unfortunately, so many people break up sooner than they should. You know, like they have a difficult time in their relationship, and especially in their marriage. And they don't ride the wave of that thing until it comes back around. Because when you go through a difficult, challenging time in your marriage or in your relationship, the first thing to do is cut and run. It's harder to stay. It's harder to work it out. But if you hang in there long enough, things will turn itself around. But you got to have the attitude that you want it to, because nothing will happen unless you desire to change yourself and your mate desires to change themselves. All right. So we're going to talk about, this is a question that I get all the time: personality and attraction and connection, right? Number one question: are certain personality types or styles attracted to each other? Which ones are most likely attracted to each other, right? And so I did a little slide thing to kind of walk you through it. So we're going to talk about the sanguine and the melancholy. The sanguine is a very outgoing, bubbly personality. They're social, they're spontaneous. While the melancholy are very detail-oriented, they're very analytical, they're organized and structured. And so there are polar opposites. But you've heard the saying, opposites attract. And they do. Opposites attract. All right. So sanguines are most often drawn to the stability and the reliability of a melancholy. You can count on a melancholy. They're stable. They normally take care of their business. They're organized. They have structure in their lives. And because we sanguines are all over the place, and we fly by the seat of our pants, and we live for today. We go with the motto YOLO, you only live once. And we're attracted to the melancholy personality that seems to have it together, that seems to have focus, that seems to be have a direction, a clear direction. So we're drawn to that. While melancholies may appreciate the energy and excitement that the sanguines bring to their lives. So that's one thing for the melancholy, because the melancholy is so low key and it's so in the background of things. They prefer not to be in the forefront. They can be, but they prefer not to be. But they like the energy. They like the excitement. They like the fun that the sanguine brings to their lives. Hey, Fat Sunny Records. Thank you. I'm a sanguine too. That's my primary. So they like that. And so that is a personality. Those are two personality styles that are drawn together. They can complement each other and balance each other with fun and responsibility. So that's why a lot of times you find melancholies and sanguines connected, because they're opposites and they're attracting. So let's talk about the next one: the choleric and the phlegmatic. The choleric and the phlegmatic also are polar opposites. The cholerics are assertive and goal-oriented and decisive. Remember, they're movers and shakers. They get more things done in the morning than most of us get done all day. So because the choleric is such a commanding force, phlegmatics are cool, calm, collected. They're chill. They're easygoing. They avoid conflict, where the choleric is like, bring it on. Cholerics may be attracted to the calming influence of a phlegmatic, because sometimes they need to be able to bring it down a notch, and they don't always get a chance to do that. So it's something about that phlegmatic that allows them to settle down a bit and not be so high strung. Now, the choleric is attracted to the phlegmatic that way. And they find comfort also in the fact that they're non-confrontational. Like, they deal with conflict and and confronting issues and things all day. So it's kind of nice to get home and not have to deal with that at your home, right? And then the phlegmatic lets the choleric take the helm. They're okay with that. The phlegmatic may appreciate their leadership and the fact that they don't have to take the helm, that they can relax and allow you to take control. And they like the direction that the choleric brings to the table. And they also like to create, those two like more than likely create a balanced dynamic, just like the sanguine melancholy couple. Now, what's interesting about this is that although opposites absolutely attract, and when you find the balance in those two relationships, it is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. And some couples find it early on, and some couples struggle with it. I know a choleric, phlegmatic couple, and they have a beautiful relationship. But they struggled at one time because that choleric wanted the phlegmatic to make decisions and, to be involved in in the planning of their lives. And the phlegmatic was like, you got this, go ahead and take it. And then there's times when the phlegmatic is like, I don't want to do that. And stop trying to make me do that. I don't want to do that. And they'll dig their heels in. So there can be strife in opposites, but there can also be a beautiful balance between the two. And you have to learn to strike that balance in your relationship. All right, let's talk about the sanguine choleric. That's when you both have extroverted personality styles, right? And that's my husband and I. I'm a sanguine and he's a choleric. I'm primary sanguine, secondary choleric, and he's primary choleric, secondary sanguine. So both sanguines and cholerics are both outgoing. We're both assertive. We create strong initial attraction because we have this energy that's exciting, right? It's an exciting energy that draws us to one another. We know that we're both having the most fun. We know that we live life on the edge. We're spontaneous. We have fun. We enjoy life. And so we're drawn to that zest for life, but also because the choleric is so ambitious and is always looking to do the best at whatever they set their minds to. There's something very attractive about a person that's in power. Y'all have heard that whole thing about power is intoxicating, right? And so if you have a choleric personality that is powerful, because we call them the powerful choleric, that's very intoxicating. It's very attractive to the sanguine. Now, they can also experience power struggles if they're not careful, because both of those personality styles desire control. Yeah. And that's what I always say. It's like when my husband and I are we're both sanguines, we're having the most fun. We're enjoying life. We're laughing all the time. We go places, we have fun, we enjoy things. But when we're both cholerics, we both know everything. We're both right about everything. It's my way or the highway. It could be like two bulls in a china cabinet. So even when you have two extroverted personalities that's together, you also have to find balance. It's important to find balance. All right. Let's talk about if you have both of the introverted personality styles in a relationship. If you're both melancholy and phlegmatic, and I know a couple of couples, I know some couples who are both of the introverted personality styles, the melancholy and the phlegmatic. Melancholies and phlegmatics, as I said, are both introverted, but they also tend to be more reserved in social situations. So they're the ones who can quietly sit and listen. And if the melancholy has something to say, they will say it. But for the most part, they can be quiet and just observe and enjoy just the scenery. They also appreciate the fact that both of them need solitude, need quiet, need space. And so that's one of the areas where they find common ground. And some of their other introverted tendencies, like the fact that they don't have to draw attention to themselves, right? That they can stay home. They don't have to go out. They could be together. They could read together. They like those kind of introverted activities. Maybe going to a museum, being in a library, things like that. However, they may need to work on opening up to each other emotionally because the phlegmatic really, they don't really like talking. They don't really like to talk about difficult situations or things. They would rather sweep it under the rug and move on because they don't want the confrontation. All right. So those are the introverted personality styles. So again, the key word to these is balance. Finding the balance in your relationship. So any personality style could really be with any personality style, right? But once you find the balance, once you stop trying to make your spouse live up to your expectations or do things the way you're wired, you can find the appreciation of how they're wired. You can find the beauty in that. All right, so let's go to question number 2. It's all about the Benjamins. It's all about the Benjamins. So question number 2, are there personalities that struggle with their finances? And the reason why this is a big deal in a lot of circumstances is because finances is a big deal in marriages. It can actually make or break a marriage. So are there personality styles that struggle with finances? Are there personality styles that do well with finances? Yes and yes. All right, so let's talk about the sanguines and money. Sanguines are often spontaneous and enjoy immediate gratification. Like we live for the here and now, YOLO, you only live once, right? So we struggle with impulse spending. We struggle with not just buying something just because we see it or just because we can. We like the bright, shiny things. We like the new things. We always are looking for something new. And so we are impulse spenders and we have difficulty saving for the future. So some of the things that we could do to address that. One is we can create a budget and track our expenses. Now, that requires work on a sanguine because we don't like writing stuff down. We don't like tracking. I do that because both my husband and I are sanguine, so somebody's got to do it. But we have to create budgets and we have to figure out how we are spending our money and if it makes sense to spend the money the way we are. We also have to delay the gratification. I don't know if you guys heard a long time ago, there was, I think there was a study about delayed gratification. And it was, if you wait 15 minutes, no, you can have a donut now. You can have this donut. I did it with kids. You can have this donut now, but if you wait 15 minutes, you can have a half a dozen donuts, right? And I'm sure the sanguines say, I'll take my donut now. I'll take this one right now because we need immediate gratification. So we have to practice that everything, and I do this all the time, because I'll look at things and I'll even have like my phone will send me notification. You were looking at this. This was in your cart. This was in your cart. I'll look at things and I won't buy anything because I have to delay the gratification. If I buy everything that comes across my phone, I will spend all my money on stuff that doesn't matter. All right. And one of the things you also can do in a delayed gratification is you set some goals for yourself, some savings goals. And once you reach that goal, you don't spend all the money, but you give yourself something to say, pat on the back. I did a great job with that. So I'll go ahead and get myself a little treat, or I'll take myself on a trip, or, whatever it is. You'll do something together with the money that you're saving. But you have to stop impulse spending. And the other thing is to involve an accountability partner. If you have somebody who's really good with money, if it's your spouse, that's even better. But if you have somebody that's really good with money, if you could just partner with that person and understand how they manage money. I have friends, and I have one friend in particular, my very best sister girlfriend, who's really good with money. And so if I have a question about money, she's the girl I'm going to ask because she knows about money. So that if you get an accountability partner, they'll help keep you on track so that you're not spending with impulse spending. All right, let's see. Oh, thank you, sweet Foxy Soul. I appreciate you. Okay, the choleric in money. Let's talk about that. And as I said before, you guys, I'm doing a workshop on marriage, and we're going to really go in deep on some of these topics that affect relationships. If it's something you think I should add to it, please let me know. You can put it in the comments. You can send me an email at beyond@beyond2llc.com. And you can send me a message there and I'll add it. If you think it's something that's critical, I'll add it. I typically do some stuff on intimacy because it's important. My husband says, make sure you have that in there. So I typically do stuff like that. But if you see something or you think of something that you think I should add to the training, please let me know. All right. Now, cholerics are assertive and goal-oriented, but they can sometimes find themselves overconfident in financial matters. In other words, the choleric knows that they make good money or they go after making good money. They're always working and always trying to make good money. And because they know they make money, they'll take a lot of risks because they're like, oh, I'll make it up. I'm not worried about it. I'll make it up. It's not a problem, So they'll do a lot of excessive risk taking as it relates to money, but they also do a lot of impulsive investments, which could potentially cost them. So some of the things that the choleric can do is diversify. Like you may be confident in some of your choices, but if you diversify, then you mitigate some of the risk to losing your money, right? But also you should get a financial advisor because sometimes we think we know better, but when you talk to a financial advisor, you recognize that there's some things you might not have considered. Some ways that you can make money because, colleagues are always trying to maximize. They're trying to be the best at. They're trying to accomplish much. They're trying to be power couples. And so a lot of times they take the risk because they think great risk is great reward. And sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But get an advice of an advisor who can be a more objective, give you a more objective point of view, so that you can make financial decisions that won't break the bank for you and your family, okay? And there will be informed decisions. Also, set realistic goals. Avoid overestimating potential returns on investment and set goals that make sense, that's realistic for you and your financial goals for the future. That way, if something goes wrong, you won't lose everything and have great disappointment. And cholerics, when they lose money, they really believe that they can make it back up and they can fix it. But they also don't like to let their spouse down. They want their spouse to believe in them. So set realistic goals. Excuse me. All right, melancholy and their money. Now, melancholies are close to their money. Melancholies are detail-oriented and cautious, close to them dollars, which can be advantageous, right? Especially while you're financially planning, because they can see the short-term goals and the long-term goals, and they plan for the future. However, some of their perfectionism could also lead to them being really worried about their finances and reluctant to spend even when it's necessary. Like they will argue you down about what's necessary, what's not, and try to nickel and dime you as much as possible because they're really close to their money. They know their money down to the penny. Like it's funny because I was listening to a financial person and the guy was saying that every cent should have an assignment. Like your budget should say every cent should have an assignment. So no, when your money comes in, and let's say it's $1, every 100 pennies ought to have an assignment. This is going towards rent. This is going towards food. This is going towards gas, repairs. It's going towards savings, but every cent needs to have an assignment. And with the melancholy, because of the way they are, they know how to make all of their cents have an assignment. They really do. They're really good at it. But some of the things that they can do better in is really stop trying to overthink everything. While it's important for you to have, great attention to detail, you can be an overanalyzer about every decision and financial decision. But trust yourself, trust your research, and make a decision in a time frame that makes sense. Because you don't want to miss an opportunity because you're overthinking it. Another thing to do is seek professional help too. Listen, I have melancholy friends. I told y'all this before. Most of my friends are melancholies. Most of them have high credit scores. Most of them have money squirreled away somewhere. Most of them have an assignment for every penny that they have. Melancholies have it together, but they can consult with a financial advisor to get out of their own heads so that they can make some financial choices and decisions with, especially as it relates to long-term planning and not overthink it. And they should balance worry with action. So if you take some proactive steps that will address whatever financial worries that you have or concerns that you have, then, if you take those proactive steps, then you won't have to worry about being afraid that something's going to happen, right? You can't factor in every single thing. Life happens. As I said to somebody else, life is going to keep on lifing. We didn't know that a pandemic was going to happen and so many people didn't have jobs. Or couldn't leave their homes or wasn't working overtime or, all that they couldn't pay their rent and their mortgage. Who knew? So life is going to always life. And you just got to be as prepared and proactive as you can be so that you can tackle those kind of things and prevent those kind of things from happening. All right. Phlegmatic. The phlegmatic and their money. Phlegmatics are chill, easygoing personality styles, and they avoid financial decision making and conflict and confrontations about money. They just avoid it. And they may be passive about the financial planning and the lack of assertiveness in negotiating better deals or investments. So that's one of the things about the phlegmatic, because they could be so passive, because they could be so laid back, and because they're non-confrontational and conflict avoidant. Sometimes they won't ask for what they need. They won't negotiate a better deal. They'll be like, okay, I'll take it. That's fine. If that's what you want, okay, I'll do it. No worries. I'm not gonna try to, I don't need to get anything better than that. I'm good. So you have to be careful when you are a phlegmatic as it relates to your money, because you'll squirrel it away. And sometimes there are just things that need to be done that you got to be able to do. So empower yourself, right? You can educate yourself about your financial situation or investments. And just try to figure out what are the best options for you, whatever is going to make you feel more comfortable in making financial decisions. Listen, there's nothing wrong with getting somebody to help you with that, to set really clear goals about your finances, or to work with your spouse, especially if your spouse is a melancholy. And remember, I said earlier, melancholies and phlegmatics tend to marry each other. So work with your spouse so you can build your confidence on how to deal with your finances. Set clear financial goals. Be specific. Remember, every cent should have an assignment. When you give it an assignment, then nothing can happen to it, because even savings is an assignment. Even spending is an assignment. But when you get your money in, give it an assignment. So if you create those specific goals, those achievable goals, that will motivate you to make more financial progress. All right. Advocate for yourself. Be assertive in your financial matters. Negotiate for better deals. Don't be afraid. You know, I saw this thing on television, and they said that some people don't know that when you go in the store to shop, in a department store, any kind of store, if you go in the store to shop, that you can ask for a better deal. And sometimes people have the ability to give it to you. I remember for my daughter's wedding, I was looking for a wedding dress. I'm sorry, a dress to wear to the wedding, mother of the bride dress. And my husband and I were shopping together because he likes to shop. And we were shopping together, and he actually picked out the dress I wore. And so anyway, we get to the register, and he said to the lady, well, do we get a discount because our daughter is getting married? This is our baby girl. She's getting married. Do we get a discount? And she said, well, let's see. And so she went on, and he started playing around. He said, yeah, because I'm, she's the mother of the bride. I'm the dad of the, we should get some kind of discount. And the lady gave us $50 off the dress. And I looked at him and I said, you go, boy. Because the Bible says you have not because you ask not. And he asked and he got. So I just think it's important for you to be able to ask for what it is you want. And that's one of the times that that's happened. There's been other times when he's asked for something and it was given to us. So don't be afraid to advocate for yourself, phlegmatics. All right. Let's talk about infidelity. Okay. So number 3, are there specific personality traits or styles that are associated with a higher likelihood of infidelity in relationships? If so, how can these individual traits prevent the behavior, or what traits can prevent the behavior? Whew. Yes. All right, let's talk about the sanguine. We're very expressive, right? We have the tendency to be outgoing and social, and often seek excitement and novelty. But we also could be considered flirty. Some people may consider it that way. It may not even be what we try to do. But sometimes because we get so close to people, because we're touchy-feely, because we hug you, because we get in your face like this, sometimes people misunderstand what it is we're trying to do. So some of the potential infidelity triggers are that sanguines' desire for novelty and attention make them susceptible to extramarital affairs if their emotional needs are not met in a relationship. Now, I put a caveat on that. I don't believe that people are responsible for your happiness, and not even for your emotional needs. I think we are responsible for our own emotional needs, right? And I think that as a sanguine, we tend to think that if I'm not getting certain things at home, I'm going to go out here and get it. Well, yeah, nah. That's a no. And because 9 times out of 10, infidelity occurs because something is happening within the individual that's having the affair. that individual is missing something within themselves, right? And so they reach out or they seek out that, whatever they're seeking within themselves from another person. So some of the preventive measures are for sanguines is that sanguines need to communicate openly with their partners or what they need. Like, I need you to listen to me. I need you to understand me. I need you to know how I'm feeling. Some of those, you have to be more open with your partner. But also, if you're a person that needs adrenaline and needs excitement, you need to make that clear too. I need fun. I need excitement. I need to be able to go and do X, Y, Z. And then do those things together, whatever those things are. Jumping out of an airplane, I don't know, going to an escape room, whatever, doing a race car driving, whatever floats your boat, but do it together. And if you don't feel like you can jump out of an airplane, you can certainly stand on the ground and watch your spouse jump out of one and support them in the process. And also, as a sanguines need to practice self-control. Remember, we live by the seat of our pants, right? We're spontaneous. We are YOLO. You only live once. And with some of those things come temptation. And you've got to be careful with how you manage your own temptations. All right. The choleric. The choleric is assertive, goal-oriented, and often a take charge person in their relationship, in all relationships, at work, at home, everywhere. And some of the triggers for a choleric is that they may be drawn into an extramarital affair as a way to satisfy their desire for control and power. Yes, they have a desire to control and have power, but also for people to look at them like they're bigger than life, like you admire them, like you're excited about them. And especially if they are feeling like they lack control in a certain area of their life. Let's say they feel like they lack control because they're not getting the promotion that they desire and they thought they would be able to get by now. If their relationship is on the rocks because, there's a lot of conflict. If their finances, they had a financial, say, for instance, like we talked about the pandemic, that caused a lot of people to lose their jobs or not make as much money or not be able to get out and access clients and that kind of thing. When they feel like they're lacking control, they tend to fall in the weakness of looking for it elsewhere. Some of the things that they could do to prevent infidelity is that they need to be able to share power and control in their relationship. That's so hard for a choleric to do. But they have to be willing. It depends on if you're willing to have the kind of relationship to do it. But you can do it. They need to, again, just like the sanguine, open up and be open and honest and communicate and seek ways to really be positive in the relationship, right? Instead of just assertive, but to be positive in the relationship, to be constructive in how they communicate and how they treat their spouse, to open up and just tell the truth in love, so that they can get on one accord. That's one of my prayers I have all the time with my choleric husband is, Lord, let me be on one accord with him. Let us be on the same page about the things that go on in our relationship. All right. Let's talk about the perfect melancholy. The perfect melancholy personality, remember, they're a deep thinker, they're highly intelligent, they're analytical. But some of the reasons how they fall into infidelity is because of their high standards. They have high expectations of themselves and others. and nobody ever measures up. And I always say expectation is the killer of a relationship. In a relationship, expectation kills a relationship. It's because it's what you expect because of the way you're wired, but you're not thinking about how the other person is wired, right? So melancholy is a detail-oriented, cautious, and often strive for perfection. Their triggers is that they may feel unfulfilled or resentful if they perceive that their partner is not measuring up to their high expectations. And they're high. They have such high expectations, they can't always live up to them. But they expect other people to. And this potentially leads to infidelity as a way to find somebody who meets their criteria. And you know, you've heard the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Stay in your own yard and stop jumping the fence. All right. Some of the things you could do to prevent it is that you should work on accepting your partner's flaws, because at some point you're going to want them to accept yours because you have them too. In other words, extending grace to each other, right? You have to also communicate your expectations, but don't expect everybody to be able to measure up to them. You can clearly state them so people understand, but not everybody can meet your expectations. And you need to focus on positive aspects of your relationship instead of always looking at the negative. Because remember, melancholy is always looking at the glass half empty. So in order to get around that, you have to start focusing on the positive and not just the negative. All right. Let's talk about the phlegmatic. Phlegmatics are easygoing, they're calm, and they often avoid conflict. So a lot of times they keep all their stuff in their heads. And I always say, what the mind doesn't know, it makes up. I think I said that last week. What the mind doesn't know, it makes up. So if it's always in your head, you're making up the scenario in your head, and it may not be the truth. Phlegmatics may be prone to infidelity if they feel ignored or neglected, as they may seek emotional connection somewhere else. But the funny thing about a phlegmatic is they have difficult times connecting with people. Once they do, they do. And so if you're in a marriage and you're feeling ignored, you may tend to go somewhere else. Instead, what you need to do is be clear with your, don't worry about the conflict. Don't worry about the confrontation, but just be able to express how you feel. Express what you need. Express your concerns. You have to participate in your own emotional intimacy. You have to connect with your spouse. You have to make sure that you're giving your spouse everything they need and they're giving you everything you need. Like you're working together. It's an exchange that we're working. You know, I always say, if I serve you and you serve me, we both get served. That's what happens. We both get served. And so if I'm always looking out for your best interests and you're always looking out for mine, we're taking care of each other. All right. What else? But you have to constantly work on a sense of connection and staying engaged, because the phlegmatic can be very status quo or uninvolved or disconnected. So you have to work at staying engaged. You have to work at staying connected. Sometimes it's hard work. All right. If you got any questions, that's it. If you got any questions about what I'm doing, this is all my contact information. The show again airs every Wednesday live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to know more about the marriage event that's coming up on November the 4th, please go to my website and sign up for my mailing list so that I can send out a mailer. I'm going to send out an email blast to talk all about the workshop. And even if your marriage is amazing and you feel like you don't need it, come on in for a tune-up. You can always be better. But also share with your friends. Let other people know who might be struggling in their relationship, especially people who have 10 years or less, because those years are the hardest years. Those are the years that usually by year 2, you're struggling because you had gone on 2 years of being under the same roof, trying to merge your two personalities and all your baggage that comes with you. You're trying to merge it. So you normally have issues. My husband always says in year 2 and year 7. And so if you're under 10 years, especially, or if you know a couple that's under 10 years, I especially would like for them to come to this workshop in DC. But sign up on my website, beyond2llc.com, in the mailing list. I'll send out an email blast so you can know all about what we're doing in this workshop. I think you won't want to miss it. We will be talking about topics that is going to help change your relationship with each other. When you walk out of that workshop, you will know more about your spouse, and you will be able to see that there's some change that can happen within you. So I hope you're able to join us. You have my information. If you have a phone, take a picture of the screen, so that you have this information that you can go and sign up and hopefully join us on November 4th from 12 to 2-ish. There'll be some surprises, some giveaways, some light refreshments, but there'll be some information that will help shape your relationship and help you stay coupled for life. All right, quick little video for next week. So we're going to talk to some gentlemen next week. We're going to talk to them about relationships. We're going to, because I want this to go, because I want people to, especially if you are, like I said, a newly married couple, but if you're thinking about getting married, like, get some of these nuggets that these folks are going to be dropping, because I'm going to have somebody on this show next week is going to be single, and then I'm going to have some people on there that's married. But we're going to talk about relationships next week. We're going to talk about it from a male perspective. We did this before with some other gentlemen, and next week we're going to talk more in depth about relationships and how these men are navigating their relationships. So I'm excited about that next week. I hope that you can join me at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live. If you haven't already subscribed, if you like the content, please subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified for each Wednesday night at 7 p.m. to join us. Thank you. I appreciate you joining me tonight. I know you could do something else with your time, so I don't take it for granted that you have joined me here on Personality Speaking, where the tea is always hot and where we're helping you to build healthier, stronger relationships. I thank you for joining me tonight, and I'll see you next week. Take care, you guys.